I don't know if it's very brave or very stupid for Jordan Henderson to sit down without any rules or regulations. No one had final say on this copy other than the Athletic. But what we do get is a real insight into what he was thinking, supposedly, what he was thinking when the deal was put on the offer, on the table, why he decided to leave Liverpool. He didn't feel loved enough.
That makes it okay. I understand that part.
Yeah, and then of course you've got these problems where he was a spokesperson for LGBTQ. He wore the rainbow armbands, the rainbow laces, and because he's now gone over to a country where it's illegal to be homosexual, a lot of people, understandably, and I agree with this, are calling him a hypocrite. He said he's not gone over there solely for the money. He likes the idea of how football is developing in that country. He wants to see it through. He talks about the facilities that he's seen that are great, but obviously he's only going to be shown great facilities. There might be, I'm just summarising it, there might be stuff going on behind the scenes that he's not shown. But either way, what annoyed me about it is that whatever way you butter it up, the money is a huge factor, right? And it annoys me when footballers or sports people never say it was an amount of money I couldn't turn down, right? He said it's not 700 grand a week, but it's a handsome amount of money.
It was almost like when a lot of people were going over and working in Qatar, and they had all the things to say, and then no one ever came out and said that, well, listen, we're going over to Qatar because they handed us a king's ransom to go over there. Listen, knowing Jordan that I do, as well as I do, he's always incredibly honest. You'd have to say that about him. But I think there's two factors when you think about this interview, and listen, he did a lot for that community. As you said, they're wearing the laces, the armband. The simple thing would have been to not go. I think that would probably been the best thing, because when you kind of nail when you kind of say to someone, listen, I'm part of your community now, I'm an ambassador for your community. It's about the money or the morals, isn't it? Really, and at the end of the day, and I think if you felt that strongly about anything, then just don't go. Completely take it off the table. But again, I can understand if someone's putting that amount of money in front of you, it's going to make you think. Regardless, I know he's very wealthy anyway, because he spent a lot of time his whole career in the Premier League. He's incredibly wealthy. It's still be hard to turn that amount of money down. So I think,
but it shouldn't be.
But it shouldn't be.
If he's a man of his word,
yeah, it shouldn't
and he's
be.
got morals.
But it's either two things. You either come out and say, I think there's either two things in this situation. You either come out and say straight away, I went for the money, because then people go, okay, well, fair enough. At least he's been honest about it. And then people ain't guessing, or you just don't go. I think when you do this kind of in between, when you're like, well, I've gone, but I'm still respecting the community, but also I've got to respect the laws over in Saudi Arabia. It's all over the place. There's no real like what do you stand with or against? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't pinpoint it to anything.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, if he's got friends or relatives that are homosexual, they can't go over to watch because they will be thrown in prison. It's illegal to be homosexual.
Well, you made a really good point to me in the meeting. You said if being black in Saudi Arabia was illegal, and then my good friend went over there to play,
how would you feel?
How would I feel? And I think that's a really, really good question, because I'd be really hurt by that. I'm thinking, well, hold on, you're my friend. You know what their beliefs are in Saudi Arabia, and yet you still chose the money over than how I'd be feeling. Yeah. So I think that's another part of the interview.
So, okay, with that in mind, right, when you said earlier, about 3 minutes ago, if he's gone for the money, he should come out and say, I've come for the money, and I get that, right? Would you still get that if he went to a country where it's illegal to be black?
No, I probably wouldn't, because I'd be like, well, hold on, like we're friends. But I'd hope it explained to me first. But I still don't think it softens the blow, really, because you think, well, you spoke about you've got friends that are in that community and that are openly gay. You're almost turning your back on them for money, which I don't like. Do you know what I mean? Which is so against him. For me, what I know about Jordan is so against him. But I think it's either you should have come out and just said it's for the money, or then you just go, I'm not going. I can't go now.
Has it tarnished his reputation?
No, I don't think so.
Not at all?
No.
Does he?
No. Of course, with the community. Yeah, 100%.
But not with Liverpool fans? I think
the Liverpool fans, no. For 12 years he gave them service. 12 years. But
what about the Liverpool fans that will be affected by this if they're part of the communities we're talking about?
And they have got 100% well within their rights to feel hurt, let down by Jordan by making this action. But I think the vast majority of Liverpool fans will never forget what he's done for that football club. 12 years, Champions League, Premier League and all that.
I'm a massive Liverpool fan, a massive Jordan Henderson fan. But also, I've got a full-time job, but I do part-time youth work, and we work with a couple of groups. One, we work closely with LGBTQ. And unfortunately, Jordan, he nailed these masts, he's flagged to the mast, basically. Very, very different. We all are hypocrites. We all do business with Saudi Arabia, BAE Systems, defence, all the rest of it. But the difference with him is he was an ambassador. And Bent is spot on, really, is that he should have just turned round and said the biggest thing he could have done for that community was to say, I'm not going. He's not going to change anything. He should have been honest with the money. You know, we know that's a big factor. That's why he went. And I still think he's an honest and amazing person, but actions speak louder than words, as you say. And also being black, I think you're spot on, is if you use that analogy in terms of, you know, I remember South Africa years ago, my foster parents were white. They had friends over there, went over in 76. I wouldn't have been able to stay in the same hotel. I'd have had to stay in a hotel down the road. I couldn't have stayed with them. And that sort of sums that up. And the same with Saudi. If you've got gay friends or anyone of that persuasion, then you wouldn't be able to go to Saudi, so you should not be going. But we're all hypocrites. Russia, China, shouldn't be doing business with them. But the difference was he actually sided and was an ambassador for that community. And it doesn't matter. He's tarnished his brand. He's tarnished himself as a friend, as a person, you know. And but I think he's still been an amazing footballer. And I still think he's an amazing person who does a lot. But
Andy, let me ask you, you've been an amazing caller. Let me ask you, I asked Benty the question, I'll ask you about whether or not he's tarnished his reputation or he's ruined it at Liverpool. Does he deserve a testimonial as well? As a Liverpool fan, if he had a testimonial, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, the thing is, right, you can't separate sport, because that's the example that I often would give when people are going on about South Africa and saying, well, you know, sport and politics shouldn't be mixed. Well, again, if you had a school and that they didn't allow black people to play football in that school, or they didn't have the same rights and so forth, then you wouldn't want to play football against that school. So politics do go together. However, as a Liverpool fan and what he's done for Liverpool, particularly as he started very inauspiciously, if you like, having to follow Gerrard, played out on the right and so forth, he's an absolute Liverpool legend. But I totally understand we'd get a lot of flack from the LGBTQ community, and rightly so. So, yeah, that's where I'd sit. But, yeah, I would go and give him a testimonial on one side, but I would also want it voiced that, you know, what he's done there is tarnished his brand from a wider point of view.
Do you feel a little bit let down by him that he doesn't come out and say, I have done it just for the money?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he is an honest person, and it's great that Benty, sort of, because I think he does wear his heart on the street, but I think he's always been pretty straight.
Yeah.
And he's between. You either come out, we all know you've gone for the money, because as Jordan says, Simon Jordan says, then if you see such a thing and you want to change it, go for nothing. But the biggest protest would have been not going and making a point of this is why I'm not going. Even though it might be a juggernaut, look at Liv Golf, you know, certain people stood out against that. They get my, they get my massive support in Liv Golf. McElroy stood out against it, you know, because don't give me this is all my future's family and all that rubbish. In the end of the day, he's been a Premiership footballer, he's minted, and his family are going to be well taken care of. So, yeah, for me, that's just a bit of a cop-out, really.
Okay. Andy, what wonderful call. Thanks for that, pal. Have a great day. Oh, he's faded out.
Really
exactly the wrong time.
So, some really good points in that.
Yeah.
Really good points.
I wonder how if other Liverpool fans feel the same. I'm guessing they will. Well, it's difficult to mix the two.
You
right?
can't. I think you look at what he did for Liverpool as a player, as their captain. He was phenomenal on that football pitch. You know what I mean? Came back because people writ him off when he went there. But someone made a good point about family as well with his family. At the end of the day, of course, members of this LGBTQ plus will feel let down by Jordan Henderson. But at the end of the day, I'm guessing he would have discussed it with his family. And at the end of the day, his family and people around him are the most important. And if they felt as a family that was the right thing for them to do, then who are we to kind of speak up against that?
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.